You're live.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Celeste Stein Show. I am your host, Dr. Celeste Stein. And today we'll be delving into relationships and how you can improve your life with your partner. I hope you will come on in here today and like, subscribe, and share my channel on YouTube, which can be found under the hashtag The Celeste Stein Show. Now, today's guest is Dr. Rodney Diggs. Dr. Diggs has a very interesting background. He is a pastor and one of the founders of One Flesh Ministries Incorporated that provides premarital marriage and family therapy and counseling services. Dr. Diggs is a certified counselor and has also worked more than 30 years in the telecommunications industry. Dr. Diggs, I am so grateful to have you join me today.
I'm so happy and pleased to be here, Dr. Celeste. Thank you for having me.
Yes, well, I know I'm excited about today's topic and really talking to you and hearing more about the many gifts of wisdom you shall impart with us today. And so I'm looking
God
forward
bless you.
to definitely hearing from you. I wanted to jump right in and start by asking you, what do you think is the number one issue that is plaguing our relationships of today?
Thank you for that question. Very good question. I think the number one issue is respect. I think the lack of respect, or you lose respect for your partner, whether before you get married or while you're married. During the marriage, if you don't have that respect, you're not going to talk to them. A lot of people will say communication is the number one thing. Well, if you don't respect the person, you're going to talk to them in a harsh manner, or as we would say, in any kind of way. You're not going to show them the love and the respect because they might have done something that you didn't like, or something they did made you lose respect. It might be they lost a job and that's what you thought was the main emphasis of the marriage. He or she may have gained 5, 10, 15, 20 pounds, so you don't want to respect them, or something has happened where you've lost that respect. And once you lose that respect, it's then going to take some communication on your part to be honest and say, this is what happened. This is what's going on. This is what I'm feeling. So I would say the number one issue is respect.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you there, but I think in order to get respect, we got to look at communication and how people do communicate with one another. I was thinking about one of my favorite quotes from Maya Angelou that says, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And so, obviously how we communicate to our partners and the people around us, really is so key and important. I was going to share a story. I mentioned I'm visiting with my brother and his wife, and they've been married a long time. And, our parents were married about, I don't know, very long time. I can't even count. But anyway, we were just, me over here, fly on the wall. My sister-in-law, she says to me that she'd been asking my brother to fix the toilets and the shower head. And she said, I've been asking him, and he has not, fixed it. But it's just, why does he want to do this once I call the plumber? So it was really funny that he came back and he said, well, honey, he said, something, it's kind of how you asked me. And she goes, well, what am I doing wrong? How should I do this? Okay. And he says, here's what I want you to do. He says, honey, I love you so much. And I just really need you to fix the toilets. So can you please just do that for me, please? And then he said, it's supposed to end with a thank you, a hug, and a kiss. So, is that how we ask?
We got conditions for asking.
Right. Well, the thing is,
they've been married for a while, right?
Well, yeah, 30 years.
Okay. Yeah. That would be nice.
Right. So you think about even someone who's been married that long still has issues, with communication sometimes, and how we speak to one another. And like you said, the respect thing, I think, is important. So, what do you think happens if a man does feel disrespected?
Quickly loses interest. Quickly loses interest and a whole personality shift. Uh, he will then begin to find fault. Most men would just go along to get along, but once they feel disrespected, then their defenses go up or their offenses go up. They'll find things wrong with you and pick with you. And men don't mind being criticized, but they'll start criticizing their mate. And most women do not like to be criticized.
Hmm. Well, and I get that. What about the other side of things, though? What happens? What do you think with women? How do you think a woman might be disrespected, and how how do you think that might make a woman feel when she is disrespected?
I think she would do the same thing, Dr. Celeste. She would turn and then even more be disrespectful and saying some things. It all depends what the man did to disrespect her. Um, Women are pretty emotional, so it could be any number of things. It could be you're out at the mall and a shapely young lady, pretty young lady walk by, and the man will look at her or stare at her a minute or a second too long. I want to say a minute, because that's way too long.
Before he gets popped, right? No.
Well, before he finds himself getting off the ground or, or a purse upside the head, he might feel disrespected that way. Or I've had this incident happen. You go out to a dance, a fraternity dance, and you're with your chapter, and she might feel disrespected because you spend more time talking to your fraternity brothers than you did sitting there talking to her. So her whole evening is messed up because you're probably working uh, the event, so she might feel disrespected. And then the whole evening is shot unless and magically can pull some roses and some other things out of your purse. I mean, out of your pocket and give it to her.
Right. Well, I mean, how do you avoid those types of situations? Because I think it's probably not one or two, but when things happen consistently, over time in a relationship, perhaps that is what really maybe begins to feel like disrespect, if things keep happening over and over again. What is the solution in terms of making sure that that person never feels that way and that that doesn't happen over and over again?
From the man's standpoint, you have to reassure your wife that she is, next to God, the most important thing in your life. And that if you're going to this event, honey, dear, sweetie, honey bun, whatever you call her, that I may be busy during the hours. And this is incumbent upon men. And we're not always quick on our feet to think and to say things like that. But that should be said beforehand, before you get there. So that talk, that conversation, that reassurance should take place even before. Make sure, yeah, you want to hurry up and get to the event. I speak from personal experience. You want to hurry up and get to the event, but you want to make sure that she feels like she's important to you.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in circumstances like that where there may have been a lot of friends around and so forth and so on. And I guess it doesn't really bother me because I'm the type that I don't really know a stranger, so I'll just talk to the person next to me or the people around me. And I think maybe early on, many years ago, I might feel insecure because I'm like, well, who's this, or why am I not being introduced to this or that person? But after a while, you realize that maybe your person that you're with is just that way, like they're not even thinking about it, so I think that's a lot of it, is being cognizant or aware of how you might make that other person feel by,
Mhm.
you know it's almost like ignoring in a way. But it's not really something that's intentional. It's like, hey, that's my boy. I'm just, and you have to,
All these are all these are your boys, all these are your boys, and all these are your your classmates, or all these are your, you have to amp it down. You have to ramp it down and just, okay, this is a date. And you're with your wife. You ask her to come. So you have to treat her with that love and respect. Have that, I got some duties I need to do from time to time, but most of my time I should be spending with you.
Right. Why do you think that is though? Like, I've heard people or couples say, the man or the woman might say, well, can't I have a life? Like I know we're one as a couple, but I need time, me time, time with my girls, time with my guys, that kind of thing. So how important is it that I mean, what happens, I guess, is that there's an imbalance sometimes. And so, I think that a lot of people kind of forget after you've been in a relationship long term that the same things you did to get her, hey, you got to do to keep her, or the same things you did to get him, you got to, continue to do to keep her. And so I look at some couples, they have date night and all that. I don't necessarily personally go out of my way to do a date night. We just do things, so I don't know, it's like, hey, you want to go here, go there, whatever. But I wanted to say that we're going to, first we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back,
Okay.
we're going to talk a little bit about love languages. And I know there are 5 main love languages, but I want to talk to you a little bit about, learning the other person, because we got to study each other, right?
Yes, you do. Yes, you
Yeah.
do. Yes,
So
you do.
we'll talk about that in just a moment when we come back.
All right.
A lot of things have come to a screeching halt due to COVID-19, but you should know that the court system in Tennessee is still open and holding in-person hearings for orders of protection and other types of abuse cases. If you have a hearing date, double check on where your hearing will be held. If you need assistance on an order of protection or temporary restraining order, contact the Legal Aid Society at 1-800-238-1443 or visit our website at www.las.org.
Hello and welcome back. You're listening to the Celeste Stein Show, and I am here with Dr. Rodney Diggs, and we are talking about relationships. And we were just talking about love languages, and we want to kind of start by talking about the 5 love languages, and why it's important to study your partner and know what those love languages are. So I guess I should ask you though, do you think that's important that you understand your person?
Oh, most definitely, Dr. Celeste. Most definitely. You have to study. You have to research. You have to really study your partner. If this is someone that you want to be with and that you're going to be with long term, you need to know, as a man, you need to know how she thinks most days. You have to know her pattern most time, and what she like, what she doesn't like. Because if you don't, if how can you say you like somebody, you want to be with somebody, but you don't know anything about them?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't know their love language or what they like, what they don't like. Some folks' love languages is I'll buy you something. I'll buy you a new Gucci bag or a Brahma bag or a Coach bag.
Ding, you want to check what my husband's love language is? You mentioned that key word, but anyway.
Bag.
Anyway.
Or buy something, or rather than some folks that just their love language just to come over and give you a hug,
Right.
or a kiss on the cheek, or just grab your hand, or affection.
Right. Affirmation,
Affirmation.
just like I like that when people say, you did a really nice job. Thanks for, paying all the bills and cleaning up the house today. That does a lot for me.
Paying all the bills and clean up the house. Oh my!
Yeah.
That would go.
You would think we would do a lot for other people too, but like
Dr. Celeste, hold on. Let me roll back. Let me roll back the beautiful bean footage here. You got it. Oh my word! Here we go. I'm an old brother.
Yeah.
You cleaned up the whole house
Yeah.
and paid all the bills.
That's right. That's how we do it.
Yeah, that's the love language. Yeah, yes.
Right.
And
Right.
you said thank you.
Yeah.
He got to thank you
You
for
know,
cleaning up
like
the whole
sometimes.
house. Hmm?
What did you say?
He got to thank you for cleaning up the whole house
That's right. I
and
think
paying
so.
all the bills.
Right. And likewise, I say
My
thank you when
mind.
the lawn is cut and the trash is out. There are things after a while, it's like this is, what we decided. So that's what we do, So
Now he need to clean up the whole house, paid all the bills. He did cut the grass, and you gave him a thank you.
no, no, no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
I said I
Oh,
cleaned up the house,
oh, you cleaned up the house.
paid all the bills. Yes. And
Yes.
he took out the trash and rode around the yard on a riding lawnmower. That's what I said. No, but anyway,
And no, I'm just
we'll let
teasing.
that sink in. We'll let that sink in.
He, he did what he could do, you know. Certain people have certain skills in a relationship, and you have to lean and mold yourself to their skills. He's
Yeah,
not pushing the lawnmower; he's riding on the lawnmower.
right,
But I mean, he's
right,
achieved a certain level of, yeah, I like that.
right. Lawnmower status here.
Lawnmower status. See, he's got enough property that he can mow the lawn sitting down.
Right, right.
That's a
And
beautiful love language to me.
it sounds
It
beautiful.
brings a tear to my eye. I mean,
Yes.
that's quite a man who,
Right. Well, I think as long as you understand, hey, this is what it is. That's the key. It's communicate. Going back to communication and respect. And as long as know that that's what we're doing, that's the agreement or whatever, then you can kind of move on from there. And that's why, like
this
you
may be
said,
all. This is maybe all that I have. Because I know men who don't do any chores around the house. They would rather pay someone. Matter of
mm,
fact, I have an old boss in Tennessee, in Nashville. I won't mention his name, but he would
please.
he goes by what he calls the Michael Jordan rules of the household.
Mhm.
I said, Michael Jordan rules. He said, yes. If it takes me more than 15 minutes to do it, I'll pay somebody else.
Mm. I think that's not a bad thing. I was talking to someone actually this week about a virtual assistant, and
Mhm.
they basically broke it down this way. It's like, well, how much do you make an hour for what you do? And I told them, and then they said, well, by hiring this person, you'll be saving yourself this much an hour because you could be doing that instead of menial tasks that, and it's not that it's menial, but like scheduling or emails and things like that is taking up a lot of your time, your valuable time. So I think that's not a bad thing, just kind of thinking about those things and how we can get back one of our most valuable resources, which obviously is time and getting the help that we need. But I wanted to move on.
Okay.
To what happens when you and your spouse or partner or significant other happens to be the complete opposite? Is it a relationship that's destined for failure, or what happens when opposites attract?
Dr. Celeste, you're going to find opposites because that's why you attract. You don't find two polar parts of a magnet attracting to each other. So you're going to attract to somebody who's going to be the opposite. I think when you and I spoke the other day, I don't think I could date somebody like me.
Why? Why would you say that?
That person would get on my nerves if they acted like me. If they if they did the things that no, you got to have some commonality, but you also have some differences.
Mhm.
I may be outspoken on a number of things, highly opinionated, but to have somebody that's a quiet, gentle spirit who can say, okay, Rodney, wait a minute, let's think about this. You need that other perspective sometimes. they may, you say opposites in terms of, it could be anything.
I wanna say, but how about religion? That's
Religion,
one that, came up, and, we came from two completely different types of backgrounds. So what
mhm.
happens when that occurs,
That's where I go back to the object and the thing of respect. If you respect your mate enough, find out, learn about their denomination, their religion, their religious practices. Um, attend their services. You might like and might glean, from that. Some folks are different denominations, and they say, "Well, I just want to be in this denomination. I just want to be in that denomination." If you're serving God and they're serving God, and there's a great spirituality to it, why not expand? Why not open up your mind and then find out what's in their world, what they think, how they feel? You might come away with, and I've had this happen, come away with a different perspective. And it's really how I got into ministry.
Hmm.
I just came back to United Methodist, but I had to venture off into Baptist full gospel, and I got a greater appreciation for the style of worship than I was used to as I'm a United Methodist pastor. Kind of grew up United Methodist. So just having that experience has helped me, particularly in this part of my ministry, having had that background, having had that experience. Someone's got a difference in, may have a spouse who can sing. I don't sing.
Oh yeah. So
They're very artistic and very, you have somebody who's an artist, graphic artist or designer. They're very artistic and do floral designs, can do home decorating. And you have the other person who can't hit a nail with a hammer. So can't draw, can't draw bath water. So, you have, those are opposites. So you have to learn to appreciate and respect their art, and who they are. Those are the differences that attracted you. There was something about that was missing in you that they have. That's
right.
attractive. And it really just enlarges your territory, just enlarges your area.
Yeah. Well, I think back, and when it comes to young couples and those who are even thinking about, getting married, I remember, when we talked about that, our church, um, which in my case, the Episcopal Church, family church, they require you to do marital counseling. Now, some people
Good.
do not, some ministries, or you might go to the justice of the peace. All the things that we went over there, I was not expecting. And I learned a whole lot that I thought I knew that I really didn't know. So I want to talk a little bit about the importance of counseling. I'm going to take another quick break. And when we come back, we're going to delve into that a little bit and what it means to really have a clear understanding of what you're getting into before you say, I do. We'll be back right after this.
One of the best things about this is how little money it takes to totally change a child's life. So yes, we send a child to high school for all 4 years for $3,500. If you think about that, that's $3 a day. And these kids are all at boarding schools. That's room and board, books, fees, tuition, everything. These kids have no money. We buy them toothpaste and toilet paper and shampoo and everything. It's literally everything, all of their books. So it covers all of their expenses for $3 a day. And we have some donors who want to pay the whole $3,500 and sponsor on their own, but most of our donors just donate $50, $100, whatever they feel like donating. So $3 a day performs miracles here.
Okay, welcome back to the Celeste Stein Show. I'm here with Dr. Rodney Diggs, and we're talking about relationships. Welcome back. I wanted to talk next here about, counseling. How important do you think counseling is in a relationship?
Extremely, extremely important. That's part of the getting to know phase. If you're moving toward being serious about each other, there is things that you said before you went to break that you learned in counseling that you didn't know. It opened up your mind to know and to find out things that are out there. I strongly prescribe in couples seeking counseling after they get engaged or thinking about getting engaged. I've counseled couples that have come in, they just got engaged. And my old church in Tennessee, it's mandatory that you have counseling before you get married. And the pastor sent them to us to do the premarital counseling. Because there's things you find out. And counseling is not, there's a couple ways we go with this, Dr. Celeste, and I hope we have time to delve into it. Marriage counseling does not mean that you're weak, that you're sad, that something's wrong. It's you're seeking information. You're seeking a perspective. I loved it because our pastor said you can't get married at the church unless you have this counseling. And it's not, and he turned it over to us to do in terms of doing the counseling. Because we're trained to counsel. And not all pastors or ministers are trained in counseling. Knowing a scripture verse or two is fine, but there's a whole technique in counseling and getting to the root, getting to the issues that are going on. And marriage counseling should be more than 2-3 sessions. You need to go at least 6 sessions to sit down, and it should be a prescribed program.
Right. I remember having homework. I mean, I was given like a 6-page questionnaire and and things I really had to think about, from finances to, like how do you believe the finances should be covered? Should, you have separate bank accounts? Should you just have one account? Is everything shared? All of that kind of stuff that you don't really think about when you're single, like, wait a minute, I'm joining here with someone else. And so if you haven't talked about it and then all of a sudden you're in that situation, somebody may be like, well, wait a minute, I thought we were going to work on this together. The other person might be like, no, I'm going to have my account over here and you're going to have your account over there. So if you don't know, that's just not a good way to start out, because they say, it's money, it's sex, it's things like that really can ruin a relationship. And so I think those are things that I learned are so important in terms of why you need counseling. But that brings me to my next question, Dr. Diggs, and that is, why do so many people, and I'll say definitely men, run away from counseling? I mean, they'd rather be, strung up somewhere than to have to go sit in a counseling session. It's like, why do you think that is?
Dr. Celeste, at the risk of losing my man card, but I, as a counselor and a member of the clergy, I have to be honest and hope the brothers don't, revoke my manhood card.
I hope you're okay. I think
brotherhood card. We and I won't say just between us, because this is going worldwide and it'll be on YouTube. Counseling a lot of times is seen as a weakness. We have to admit that we don't know something, or that we're going to be told we don't know something. It's multi-layered. One, if you go into marriage counseling, so that means my fiance came up with the idea. Now I've already engaged her. I've already proposed to her. So now she's asking me to go to counseling to work on some issues. I don't know if I'm ready for that, because I don't want to sit down. So who's doing the counseling for a man? Here's the steps we go through. Is it a man or is it a woman? Is it a married man? Is it a single man? Is she married or is she unmarried? Or if they're divorced, okay, where is it going to be? Are we meeting at the church where everybody in the church can see that we're coming to counseling? Because we still don't, oh, they're coming for counseling and they're engaged. Are they having problems? Most people see counseling as there is a problem. I see counseling as a preventive method. And there's several analogies I could use, but being a man, I won't. You go for, this is preventive, and you go and you learn and you explore what you need to do. It's counseling. I've had men come in, and maybe Dr. Celeste, because my personality, I take ministry and counseling seriously, but I don't take myself that seriously. So people see me laughing and joking and say, oh, that's Elder Diggs, that's Dr. Diggs. We're going to talk to him because I'm going to relate to you. And okay, I understand this is difficult for you to come in here because you don't want to hear what I'm going to tell you. You're taking on a great responsibility, my brother. You're taking on a great responsibility. You about to give her your name. Let me tell you what that all involves. So take a sip of water, take a sip of tea, drink some coffee, put your seatbelt on, because we're gonna buck up. We're gonna do this. So it's you don't know. You've heard so many things, or you see things on TV. You don't know until you do it.
Right. Well, I think some people are afraid that they're going to actually have to change
Oh
and
my.
change a behavior that they may have, adapted over the years. Well, one of the things you said earlier, you mentioned like the fiance taking the person to go get counseling. And I think that's what I hear often. Like women always make the doctor's appointments, for most men, something has to be falling off before they actually will go to the doctor or
Well, yeah.
seek therapy and stuff like that. But when we talked the other day, we also talked a little bit about leadership. And so, should the man be leading that effort as opposed to the woman all the time in terms of counseling? Like, is she the only one that's always concerned about the well-being of her man and the relationship? Should it actually be that way, or is that really maybe not the way it should be?
That's a excellent question.
Boy, you sound kind of speechless now.
Well,
But not.
it's rare for me to be speechless. It's very rare.
Right, rare.
It's a very good point because women are by nature nurturers. So you're concerned about those, I'll say, the softer elements of someone's feelings and how things are going. Most women are more attuned to those kinds of things. I think it should be a shared thing. It can switch depending on, let's say there's a physical illness and the wife is not able to make the appointment, so the husband has to step up and make the appointments. Of course, he's gonna go get her calendar, her date book, and because she has all the information. Women are just historically that's been part of their role, part of what they did. They kept track of birthdays and anniversaries and doctor's appointments, and we have to go and here's your medicine, all your medicine lined up. You take your medicine. That's been the role. Can men provide that same role? Most certainly, most definitely. And I know some men who do
I know
just
they
that.
can, but should they more so? And that's really more my question. Like, should they be the leaders in that? If you're the leader of your house, you know what I mean? Like, can a woman follow a man who's not a leader?
No. But you don't being a good leader doesn't always mean you're out front. A good leader can also be a good leader is also a good listener, is also a good supportive person. Okay. If that's your strong suit, if that's your area, if I need to step in and do that, I can. I'm a good leader, but I can lead in several different ways. I can lead by encouraging you to
That
continue
is
to
a
do
good point.
what you're doing. Yes. I don't, because I'm a leader, doesn't necessarily mean, oh, I can use, I'm a sports fanatic. So I was going to lead something in terms, talk about terms of leadership in terms of football. You don't always have to be the one doing everything to be the leader.
Right.
And you don't have to always walk around thumping your chest that, I'm the leader, I'm the man of the house.
Right. Right. I think, sometimes people get the roles, misconstrued as far as is what one should or should not be doing. But when you marry, you become as one, and it's like a team effort, a partnership, I think. But I think some people don't always see it that way, and so that's when I think there may even tend to be additional problems. I want to
Well, let me just back up. I'm going to inject. I know this is your show, but
no, go right ahead.
I'm kind of forceful like that. Teamwork. Most men understand teamwork.
Mhm.
We understand team. We're very much in the sports. We understand the bond, the camaraderie of a team. And on a team, everyone has a role that they perform.
Mhm.
Be it football, be it basketball. You have a role. So if my wife and I are a team, there's roles that we play fairly, unfairly. I may cook, she may not cook. She may clean, I may not clean. So there's roles. I may lead on this, she may lead on that. She may be better with money, but I'm better with contracts. So
Right.
she's better at, so it's the teamwork. The leadership is, okay, we know this is what we're doing. We're a team. And I love that aspect. I'm a frustrated coach. So I love team sports. So a teamwork in marriage, that's the way things should go. Yeah, there's a head coach, but the
Mhm.
head coach has assistants that specialize in different areas. The head coach is not the trainer taping people up before the game. The head coach is the head coach.
Right.
I'm sorry. I'll give you back your show.
Yeah. Yield. Well, we're
I
going to take
yield my time. Go ahead.
yeah. We're going to take a quick break. We're talking here with Dr. Diggs, Rodney Diggs, and talking about relationships. When we come back, we're going to talk about some deal breakers in relationships. We'll be back right after this.
When it comes to relationships, there are some obvious signs you can use to spot someone who might be abusive. First, they have a tendency to want to rush into a relationship. They may also show signs of jealousy and mistrust, and you could find they expect you to be perfect and will try to cut you off from other important relationships. They could also be abusive towards animals and children. To learn more about the signs of dangerous individuals and how you can identify and avoid unhealthy relationships, contact the Legal Aid Society at 1-800-238-1443.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Celeste Stein Show, and we are talking about relationships. And I'm here with Dr. Rodney Diggs, and we are getting ready to talk a little bit about deal breakers in relationships. So sometimes people, Dr. Diggs, will say, well, a lot of times infidelity might be something that may end a relationship. Or it just may be, you can't agree to disagree. It just may be a lot of different things that, couples find themselves in. It may have something to do with children or children from a previous marriage and the new spouse not or girlfriend not wanting to, accept those people into the family or be a part. So there are a lot of things that plague relationships. What would you say um, should be deal breakers?
Wow. I don't think money should be a deal breaker. I really don't think finance should be a deal breaker. Infidelity can definitely be a deal breaker.
Yeah, I mean, I think though, a lot of couples do come back from infidelity, but you said you think
Yes,
it should
yes.
be. Why would you say that?
That it should be
Yeah.
because you betray the trust.
Hmm.
You betray the trust, and it would take a lot to get that trust back. give you an example. I'm a very illustrative person. If I took a piece of paper
Mhm.
and just happen to have a piece of paper here, give me a second or two. And this piece of paper is smooth. Not saying that your marriage is always going to be smooth, your relationship is going to be smooth. But if you take the paper and you do this to the relationship and you ball it up and you crumble it up because you stepped out, you had an affair,
Mhm.
you with somebody else, you got tied up on Facebook, you got tied up on YouTube, you got tied up on TikTok or something else, and you try to get that person back. Can you ever smooth this piece of paper out? And what measures would you take, would it take to smooth this back? So it is like this.
Hmm.
Would it take an iron at a certain temperature and a certain amount of pressure to smooth it out? All this because someone decided to break the covenant. I'm a Christian pastor.
Mhm.
I'm a Christian counselor. They broke the covenant. Yes, you can recover from that. But the person who crumbled the paper up, how much are they willing to do?
Mhm.
Person they have the paper
You know,
crumbled
good
up.
point. So when you said it should be a deal breaker, you're saying that if that person's not willing to, I guess, do anything to fix what they've done and they continue, I mean, they say in Christianity, it's all about repentance. And that word repent means to turn away from. So it doesn't mean you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. But a lot of people, that's what they do. They just cover it up better, and that kind of thing. So how, do you even try to counsel, a couple that is in that situation? I mean, what I really want to know, what do you say to them?
You say to them, male or female, are you repenting? I do this example because I've counseled folks like this. Are you willing to do the work? You met them, you romanced them, you married them, you proposed to them, you did the honeymoon, you did all that, and then you did this. Now, we're not going to talk about what led up to you doing this. It's just you do this. Let's eliminate all the other stuff you did. Are you willing to straighten this out? What are you willing to do for this person to take you back? Because now you betrayed their trust.
Mm-hmm.
You not only disrespected them and humiliated them,
You what? You
betrayed
said
them.
that.
You humiliated them,
Mm-hmm.
whether
Mm-hmm.
it was out in public or just, So there's that person feels humiliated because there's a third person that's now involved in our marriage
Mm-hmm.
and what we had in our team.
Right.
So what are you willing to do to straighten it out? And most people are not willing to do the work.
Right. Well, and then speaking, you just mentioned third parties. What if that third party, keeps interfering in the relationship? So technically it can't have a chance to heal, because that often happens. But I always tell people that I know, if that person will cheat with you,
That person will cheat on you.
they'll cheat on you. Exactly. They don't have any, they're not faithful. So
I talk to folks, I mainly counsel men through my ministry, Nehemiah ministry, and because I want to rebuild the wall, and that's the wall that they're on, like Nehemiah in the Bible. So I talk to men who may, like say, have strayed outside their marriages. You got to rebuild that wall around your community, around your household, and it's going to take. It might take a different kind of brick. It may take longer to rebuild the wall that you tore down in a month or however long it took you to do. And that was before you got caught. So why do you want this person now? So there's tough questions on that end. You know, what are you
Right.
willing to do? Why do you want what happened to the other person that you thought was better?
Right.
The
Good point.
grass was greener, but the grass still got to be mowed on that side of the lawn. Riding lawnmower or not on riding lawnmower, it still has to be mowed. So
I used to work with a guy who used to go, the grass is brown all the way around. Like very pessimistic, but anyway.
you still got to water the grass for the grass to grow.
Wherever it is, yeah.
So
Exactly.
now you want to come back to where you strayed away from. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you coming back?
Mm.
Ask those tough questions. So why do you want to come back?
Mm-hmm.
What happened over here?
Right.
Let's talk man to man. Okay, let's talk. Why you want to come back
Mm-hmm.
if you strayed?
Right. Well, what happens if that person, maybe they're dealing with some deeper issues and, they just shut down and they don't wish to discuss anything, with anybody. So, I mean, what advice do you give to someone like that in a situation like that where they're just not willing to talk,
If you're not willing to talk, you're not willing to do any of the work. So that's the biggest. I mean, that's the first step. You have to be willing to talk. You talked your way into this relationship with this other person. You didn't do it by mind. You didn't do it by hand signals. You talked your way. So now you don't want to talk through this situation. Yeah, there is a bigger problem. There's a bigger issue. And the counseling would shift from more of, well, it then turn into what are your deeper issues? What's going on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Which
And,
is why I say it would take more than 1 or 2 sessions. You're talking at this point 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 sessions, because there's a lot of layers there just to get you to talk.
right. Because some of those problems that might be deeper rooted in things like self-esteem and what have you, those are issues that sometimes that person needs to basically work out all on their own. That has nothing to do with you, that that
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
A lot of it is a self-esteem issue. It is okay. I saw something. Here's an opportunity. This is what I want to do. This person, makes me feel better than my wife, my husband. They may be taller, they may be slimmer, they may be cuter. So I'm feeling a certain way. I want to say some kind of way, but I'm feeling. So that's me. It has nothing to do with my spouse.
Mhm.
I can sit and say, well, you weren't taking out the trash, or you didn't cut the grass as often, as I like you to, or you would, and that may be no. That's just camouflage. That's just an excuse. That's just camouflage. What's going on with you that made you do that?
Right. Well, and I think that takes a certain degree of honesty with oneself. And until you're willing to do that, like you said, I think that is a deal breaker. And then um, I guess you were starting to talk about other things that are deal breakers as well. You said money wasn't, infidelity was. What are some other and I guess I'm assuming we're coming from the Christian, perspective here, in terms of what might be some other things that would, cause someone in your position who's actually counseling people to say, I think it's time to throw in that towel.
One of unforgiveness.
Mm, hmm.
If
Yeah.
you've been offended by your spouse, can you forgive? Can you give grace? I'm a United Methodist. I'm a Wesleyan. Strongly believe in grace. Can you give the person the grace? If a person cannot give you the grace in the space and offer forgiveness, a kind heart. But if your heart is so hardened that you just can't do it, then okay, for whatever reason you have, then maybe we need to move on. You need to separate because you just
Mhm.
cannot forgive. What they did was so hard, so heinous. to you that you can't forgive them, then it's best that you move out of that situation.
Mhm.
Because like some of your PSAs, and I've been to in Nashville, down anger management. Some of my clients came from the courts because of domestic violence.
Mhm.
I only did men, but there were also women involved in domestic violence disputes.
Right.
Court
I
order.
could go either way, right?
Quickly go either way. That's equal opportunity
Right.
situation. If you just can't let go, also deal breaker, just sometimes dealing with family, extended family members can be a deal breaker.
Why do you say that? Because a lot of times people are like that. When we get married, the extended family has nothing to do with me, but
Has
that,
everything to do with
that
you.
might not be true, right?
Yeah. Are you willing to cut off, Shay or Nuck that's doing things that's going to be harmful and damaging, to our household, to our team. Okay.
Mhm.
You wouldn't let me come into your household, your lovely household down in Tampa, and just smoke marijuana, and you don't smoke marijuana.
Mhm.
And we may have family members who feel this their right, their privilege, because this is my sister, this is my cousin. I can come in and smoke marijuana. No, I may have asthma.
Right. Yeah, and you can't.
I may get drug tested on a regular basis. I can't have this in my system.
Mhm. Right. And then what you said at the very start of this conversation is respect.
Yes.
That's disrespectful. It's not only disrespectful to the person, their home, and their spouse. I mean, it's all those things. So one has to really, be astute in recognizing things that are offensive, things that are going to bring potential harm. And I always, if I see danger, I flee. Like, I'm not trying to get in the middle of something or some mess. That's how I am. I just, I'm like, oh, there's danger ahead. Let me go this way. So, but some people, they're oblivious to it. It's like,
Yes.
it's just, and so I don't know how one deals with that either. As far as making sure that they're recognizing that could be an issue. You know what I mean? Like sometimes people don't recognize.
I use the analogy and I of teamwork. This is a team. Would you want somebody to come in and just these are the uniforms we're wearing? So you don't come in, you don't wear something else. No. Our team does this. This is what we do. This is our core value. This is what we believe in. The Bible said, for me and my house, this is what we're going to do. We're going to serve the Lord. And what you're doing is not really serving the Lord. Love you like a cousin, but you can't come here with that.
Right. Well, what about equal footing in a relationship? You mentioned teamwork. When you get married, do you really think that men and women are on equal footing or should be on equal footing?
No, you're not gonna be equal. You're not gonna be equal footing. I'm like, y'all can pull my man card, but I'm gonna hang on to it. No, we're not. We're not. Financially, emotionally, physically, we're not on equal footing.
But the question is, should we be? Should we be? And is it okay not to be on equal footing? I think I really want some elaboration on that.
It's okay that you might be stronger in an area than I am. That's okay because I want to help meet. I want somebody to help me meet my goals, help me meet my obligations, help me meet the things that I wanted that God has put on my life. If I've got a woman, she's my help meet to help me get to a point. Some things I can't do by myself. You may be a much better writer than I am. You can help me in writing a sermon and writing a script and writing a book and writing, there may be things. So we're not equal in that area.
Yeah, I get that. That
I may have the money to go out and buy a riding lawnmower to cut the grass on our 7 acres down in Tampa. But
no,
I'm picking now. But anyway, well, I may pay somebody to do it. You don't always have to be equal in terms of where you are in terms of respect and where you are in terms of communication, where you are spiritually.
yeah.
Are you equal in that area? Are you equal in that area? And even that area, you're gonna find a spouse who might be more spiritual than you are. And
Mhm.
some men like that. Some men that I've met really like the fact that she has a greater association, a greater connection with God. And that's where I want to be.
Right. Well, and that may be, but then you get into sometimes a couple that's unequally yoked and where it's not even. And so I think sometimes that's okay. As long as you're, like you said, you're still on the same team. It's just one person may be, a lot further behind the other, or somebody may be, out front a little bit more.
That might be another area, Dr. Celeste, that can't be fixed. That if you're unequally yoked in terms of spirituality, that makes the marriage harder.
Right.
That
But
keep
I don't
you-
think it's a deal breaker. I think unless it just is never changing. The thing is, it's about evolution and
Right.
change,
Yes,
right? At the end
yes.
of the day.
Are you
Well,
willing to listen to where I am? Because I have a good friend whose wife is very spiritual, raised in the church all her life, but he refused to go to church or attend church.
Mhm.
They've been together for a while. I've got some other friends who, they like the fact that their wives have a relationship with God, a personal relationship with God.
Well, I'm looking at the time. Oh, I just realized this has been wonderful.
This has been.
A pleasure to have you on today. We will have to continue this. This is one to be continued. I've
Yes,
really
yes, it will.
enjoyed
Yes,
this.
it will. Yes, it will.
And we're gonna have to cut here. But thank you so much, Dr. Diggs, for imparting your wisdom on relationships today. We will be back again with another show in 2 weeks. You can tune in if you watched this episode and you enjoyed it. Want to watch another one? Go to The Celeste Stein Show under the hashtag The Celeste Stein Show on YouTube, and you can watch this again or watch other programs that we've had. Thanks so much for watching. Make it a great day. Thanks.
Be blessed.